Amazing Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing, individually and collectively, as it was established at birth.
I'm Crystal Gunn, founder of the Amazing Woman Network and host of Amazing Women Speak. So thank you in advance for sharing this with your friends so you all can join in on this conversation. And we are back once more, highlighting some incredibly dope women who are Black history and women's history every single day and are leaving their mark on the world and owning their seats at the table. Michele, welcome. And as always, thank you for saying yes to Amazing Women Speak. I'm excited about this conversation. So I turn it over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, good evening. Welcome, Facebook, one more time. We're excited to be in company with you, having conversation with two amazing women. Crystal, yes is the only answer that is appropriate. To get to share space with you, getting to uplift and celebrate amazing women, there's no place I would rather be. Facebook, as always, we invite you to be a part of this conversation. Drop your questions and your thoughts in the chat. We'd love to pull them in and make them a part of the dialogue that is about to happen with two more amazing women. What a great way to close out Women's History Month, that we are also considering how we continue to pay attention to Black History Month, because it is truly 365. We have two amazing women here with us today. I tell you every week, it is the fastest hour of your day. And so we're going to dive in. You know, we don't do anything in shallow waters. We only have under an hour, so we must launch deep. So let's find out who we have with us and get this conversation started. Tammy, come in and introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Tammy Turner. I am co-owner and founder of Kapstone Employment Services, as well as co-owner and founder of Pyramid Health Group, which we just launched last year. It's a mental and behavioral health organization based in Ohio. And native Detroiter, born and raised, still live in the city, and super excited to be on this podcast this evening with you dynamic women. And of course, my super awesome and phenomenal business partner, Miss Kerry Buffington. And that was your lead in.
I'm gonna put you in my back pocket. Thank you so much. Thanks for having us today. I appreciate it. As Tammy stated, my name is Kerry Buffington. I'm the other half of Kapstone Employment Services, as well as the other half of Pyramid Health Group. And I'm really excited to be here with you all this evening. So thanks for having us.
Thank you. So right out of the gate, we want to talk about how the two of you pushed against the dominant culture value around how Black women are seen and viewed, and we cannot collaborate and be successful in going into business together, right? Like, we're going to debunk that, because clearly it can happen and you're successful at it. Tell us how you got here. Kerry.
Do you want?
Kick us off.
Michele, I'm gonna let Tammy start if you don't mind, because
Not at all.
As she stated, she is the founder, and so this was her vision that she allowed me to join in on with her. So.
Well, I was the kind of sort of founder, but you know, the vision didn't exist without you in it. So Kerry and I were friends. We were neighbors. We lived around the corner from each other. We were in a lot of the same social circles. I had been in the recruiting space for almost 25 years. And I just got tired of working for somebody else. And more importantly, somebody that didn't look like me. I felt like I was making him rich and buying his wife red bottoms and building their house in Traverse City and buying their boat. I was the top producer in the company, $500,000 in sales. And I'm just like, yeah, I can't in good conscience do this another day. And so I said, I can do this on my own. So I thought. I thought about it, reached out to Kerry. Kerry had 15 years of human resources experience working in the automotive space. I had 25 years of recruiting experience with 10 in the automotive space. And so I came to her and I said, hey, what do you think? Can we do this? And she was like, yeah. So she had just had a baby. She had stay at home. Well, she was working from home. And she was like, you know, that's a little risky, you know, a new baby, what have you. So I said, okay. So I gave her about 3 months. And then I was like, look, you either gonna pee or get off the pot. I'm gonna do it with you or without you. So, and then I had to show her one of my commission checks. And at that time, for a 1 month commission, I had $18,000. And I told her, I said, if he owes me $18,000 for 1 month, how much money do you think he made? I was like, partner. I wasn't calling her partner yet. I was like, Kerry. So she went and had a conversation with her husband. He gave his blessing, and we've been rocking it out ever since.
How long have you been?
Going on 6 years. It'll be 6 years in June.
And I just want to say, you know, especially relating to the question of getting along, and two Black women, you know, no relationship is perfect. You know, Tammy makes mistakes. I make mistakes. She might be having a bad day, and I might be having a bad day. So, you know, those are normal things that people run into. But at the end of the day, it's just like being in a marriage, you know, like I love her, she loves me, and we respect each other. And I know that there is nothing that she is going to do to purposely hurt me. And I know the same thing about her. And to me, when you can be in a relationship with people like that, you know, you guys can make anything happen.
Right. And so it's clear you do not go through the course of business development, business growth without there being some pains and some challenges. And I am sure, right? Like Tammy didn't come to Kerry because Kerry's going to be the go along to get along, right? Like she was going to push you ideas and thoughts. And yet when Black women do it, right? When it happens to us, there's this narrative that gets told, right? Like it's not about they were pushing each other to greatness. They're catty. They can't get along. Right. So I'm glad that you lifted that up, Kerry, because it's a part of the conversation that what do you do when you get to that space? And what do you rely on to ensure that you're focusing on the business, right? And that the friendship holds its space so that you can continue to grow and develop.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I really just think it's important that you probably really try to know as best you can the person you're going into business with, right? And sometimes you don't know things. Sometimes you don't know things till you get married. Sometimes you don't know things until you get into business with someone. So, you know, you have to believe in God.
That's right.
You know, but you know how it is in dating, you know, pay attention to the signs, ask certain questions of people in this situation, because, you know, it's about the backgrounds that you come from. It's about how people handle money. I mean, it's so many things that go into that. But I do know even when we don't agree, we can still come to a happy medium, you know. And in relationships, it's not always about who's winning or who gets their way. It's really what's the best for everybody, what's the best for the business. And that's what we really, really try to keep in mind.
Yeah, setting ego aside, right?
Yep.
And again, the narrative that we have to disrupt that's being told about us, that we can
absolutely nope. When one wins, everybody wins. And that's the way we look at things, you know.
We truly give each other balance. Like our personalities are so different and uniquely different. We both have our strengths, we both have our weaknesses, but we complement each other in such an amazing way. And even when we're out and we're conducting business and we're doing business development and we're talking to people and trying to win a contract or whatever the case is, you know, because our personalities are so uniquely different, depending on who we're talking to, they're going to gravitate towards Kerry or they're going to gravitate towards me. So it's a win-win, you know. And I can give you an example. Like I'm the kind of person that I have a type A personality, and I am so very focused. Like I want to know the third quarter financial projections. I'm like, okay, this is the goal. Let's back into it. These dollars need to make sense. Let's run these numbers. Like, that's me. And I've been that way for as long as I can remember. Kerry is like, oh, hey, Bob, how are you? How's the kids? How did your son's soccer game go? And that's the part of me that I forget to do that sometimes. And that's also essential to business.
It is.
Right. So
and I learned from her
people they like.
Right. And I learned from her, you know, she'll be like, well, did you get a card or what did they do? And I'm like, oh. I think the biggest moral of the story is don't go into business with somebody that can bring to the table the same thing you can.
Yeah.
You got to be able
Correct.
to learn stuff from each other.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Kerry, what actually got you to yes?
Well, no. I mean, seeing the check obviously was a big incentive.
That was helpful.
But it was also, you know, I was just talking to somebody about this earlier. Like my family, we were really like groomed to be very humble and almost humble to a detriment sometimes. And so I had been talking to my husband about the same thing, and then I'd been talking to Tammy, or I don't even know, so not so much I was talking to Tammy, but it was really just empowering when she came to me. And it really felt good that somebody was seeing something in me that I hadn't seen in myself up to that point. So it was like, you know what, if somebody believes in me enough to try to really do something like this important, you know, and I didn't see it in myself, you know what, well, take the risk, you know what I mean? And so it was really empowering. And so, you know, I'm forever thankful for that.
So tell us a little bit about,
No, go ahead.
So yeah, we want to learn a little bit about the journey. One of the things that we've been focusing on this month, as we pay attention to the mark that women are making, creating history, right? That one day somebody's looking back and learning from Tammy and Kerry's experience on how to do this and how to trust somebody that you call a friend, to be able to do this kind of work, to take the kind of risks that you both continue to take, I'm sure, every single day on some level. What is it like being a Black woman in this industry, doing this work in this way, where you're being pushed against white men, other women who are thinking that you don't belong at the table, the journey to get your seat at your own table and think about how we invite others in. Tell us a little bit about that journey to how you got to where you are today.
Tammy, you want to start? Or you want me to?
Go ahead, partner.
Well, that's a full question, but I mean, you know, the journey never stops. That's the first thing that I will say. The journey never stops. And, you know, I think that's why one of the things that Tammy mentioned, why it's good that, you know, we can piggyback off of each other, because a lot of people can relate to her more because she's more matter of fact about the business, about, you know, so sometimes we've been at a lot of tables where we're the only women at the table and the only people of color. And, you know, I know Tammy is not intimidated, and I wouldn't feel that I was intimidated either. Could you get that feeling that maybe you were trying to be made to feel that way? Sure. You know, and some people could, you know, it would very easily could feel that way. The good thing is that it's always in your favor when you know what you're talking about, when the subject at hand is something that you are an expert at. Well, you know, nobody can take that from you, right? So, so a lot of times we're the ones trying to educate, you know, folks that look different than us about what we're doing, or about, you know, recruiting details, you know, the economy, employment, all those kinds of things that we know the facts. Right. So what do you say, Tammy?
I would agree. As Kerry said, there's been numerous times where we've been the only person of color at the table and the only female. And I'm not easily intimidated. I grew up on the east side of Detroit, knee deep in the hood, and I'm not rattled by much. And I drive a Harley. I ride a Harley, so I'm not easily intimidated. And so, and I know my stuff. I'm good at what I do, and that's not me being braggadocious. That's me owning my authenticity and saying, this is what I do. I'm good at it. And if you need talent, I can help you find talent. And especially if you need diverse talent, you know, many companies come to us because they need diverse talent. So they're going to go to the diverse company, right? And so that's what we do. That's our expertise. So in those instances where we found ourselves the only person at the table of color or a female, basically, I just own the room. I own the space. I'm just going to take it up. And that's what we do.
I love
And
it.
I'm unapologetic in that, because if you challenge me, then I'm going to lay it out on the table for you. This is why.
But you can't challenge somebody who knows their stuff.
You
Right.
cannot.
Exactly. When you know your stuff, you know your stuff, So I can remember one time, well, this is before Kapstone. And again, the company I was at before, I'm going to a meeting at this organization, and it's me, it's my male Caucasian boss, another manager who is Caucasian, and then there's myself. And we're meeting with a Caucasian CEO. And so the entire conversation, this guy, the CEO, never looks at me, never acknowledges me in the room at all. His entire conversation is directed to the two white men that are on each side of me. I'm in the middle. And so it's interesting because at that time, I'm the director of engineering recruitment. So what he needs, he got to come through me to get it.
Has to.
Has to, because there's nothing that's going on in engineering recruitment that doesn't come through me. It's my division. So I just sat there and I just like tennis, just like I'm waiting. Eventually you got to come to me, sir. And sure enough, here it comes. Well, I need so and so and so and so, and we need to get this many people. And then I jump in. Okay, so you need me to help you with that. I can help you with that. And so took over the conversation, and he was stunned. And it's like, that happens all the time. And we as Black women have to be comfortable jumping in that space, own our stuff, take control of the room, and be unapologetic, like not combative, because it's this whole angry Black woman. No, I'm not combative, but I will own this room. I'll take control, and let's get this deal done. You're going to respect me because I'm not going to accept anything less than.
Did you always have that voice, Tammy? Did you?
Always. To my detriment sometimes.
Kerry, what about you, right? Like, it's another one of the things that we intentionally unpack is, how do Black women find their voice, right? Oftentimes sitting at the table, I remember for me very early in my career, always the only Black woman in the room and always being overlooked, right? But I've been socialized just to be grateful to be at the table. So I sat there, right? I sat there until my mentor said, you will never make space for another Black woman to be at this table if you don't open your mouth. I was like, oh. And then off to the races I went, right? Find my voice in that room because my socialization was just pressing against me. Kerry, have you always had your voice?
No, I don't think so. I grew up where my family, middle-class parents, and they were always like, be nice, and so I do think that I was just talking to my sister earlier. I said our humbleness can be to a detriment, where now I am finding my voice and not, like Tammy said, I'm not turning into an angry Black woman, but I am telling you how I feel. I am telling you what I want. And I'm also really just self-reflecting on, personally what's pleasing to me, because I'm a pleaser. And so, I'm in my own thing, kind of trying to find some things, but I enjoy people, I enjoy interacting with people. I enjoy problem solving. And so, I must admit, I went to a Catholic school, so I've always been integrated, but, I do feel like that I've probably not asked for things that I know I deserved, or, I had to self-reflect and say, you know what, you deserve this, because that's one of the things I think is that mindset is that we undervalue and accept not we, myself personally, I undervalued and accepted less than I knew that I was worth. So all that's been changing for me for the last few years.
Awesome, right? Like, and too many of us, that's our story. Again, it's the ways we've been socialized. And after we left the room, right? Like that we went and had the conversation with someone that we trusted and valued to say, these are things I should have said, this is what I deserved. And we didn't leave it at the table. So yeah, it is not, you're not alone in that part of your journey. Unfortunately, far too many of us, again, we've just been socialized that way. So thank you for both of you bringing that dynamic to the table, right? Like what it is to always have your voice and unapologetically use it? And then what is it like to find it along the way and that power still be present in the room? There's no force that is like, it's unstoppable when a Black woman
Correct.
finds her worth. Unstoppable.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So I've heard the word humble mentioned twice in this conversation, at least twice. And we did in a show, and the title was The Bullshit of Being Humble.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Right on the nose, Crystal, right on the nose.
And you know, it's always that same thing. Michele comes out of the gate with the question, and I'm gonna let, in this time it wasn't a question, but I'm gonna let her tell you how she started that conversation that day when the topic was the bullshit of being humble.
So, right, like one of the things we really do talk about a lot is our faith, right? And so take it to the Bible, right? The word, God requires us to be humble only to him. Humble yourself in front of the Lord. Like as many times, look it up, as many times as you see humility and being humble in the Bible, he never calls us to be humble to anybody but him. So the idea that we feel like we have to show up and be humble and act in humility, right, in order to get what we need was not an assignment God gave us. It was not an assignment. And we do not allow him to do what he does best when we veer off the path that he's laid before us, right? I know how to operate with respect. I know how to move my voice correctly, but do I have to humble myself before you to get what it is that I need for success? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And again, we're no longer playing that game. We're no longer servicing others before we serve ourselves and each other, which is really why I love the idea the two of you are friends, and that you have created this space where you've gone into business and been successful. Yeah, we're not going to be humble. Thank you.
You know, that's why you got to surround yourself with people that you can learn something from, you know, and people that are also, I think, that are different from you, right? Because if we all have the same experiences, how are we learning and growing from each other? We're not.
Exactly.
So, you know, I enjoy the fact of interacting with people, especially women that look like me, you know, that we could talk about our experiences and, you know, we can learn from each other, right? Because it's about the growth. So I appreciate that.
Pyramid Health. How'd you get there? From Kapstone to Pyramid Health.
Tell them, Speedy.
So Kerry and I, we'll start with COVID. So when COVID hit, it affected a lot of businesses and certainly in the staffing space, right? COVID created a lot of entrepreneurs. A lot of people no longer wanted to go to work in your traditional 9 to 5. Some of them were scared, you know, to be back in space with other people. And then, you know, some people just were like, oh, I can make it on my own. Let me go do some Uber Eats and some DoorDash and some whatever it is that they were doing that they didn't have to drug test for, that they didn't have to have a background check for, that they didn't have to have a set schedule and somebody telling them when they can take a vacation, right? So created all these entrepreneurs, and that a good crux of our business is in the automotive manufacturing space. So individuals earning $25 an hour and below, we staff for those individuals. That was a good portion of our business. And so when that business went away, our revenue started going away. And we're like, yeah, so, you know, we start thinking about different things that we could do to diversify our portfolio, because at this stage in our lives, being 6 years fully into entrepreneurship, neither one of us are employable again. We just are not. We've come accustomed to this entrepreneur lifestyle. So we said, you know, we want to branch out and explore some different things. We were introduced to someone that told us about an opportunity in Ohio in this space. And so we were like, okay, all right, it sounds interesting. And we have an opportunity to make an impact in the community. Okay, we could do this. And then we saw the numbers. when we saw the numbers, we were like, oh yeah, so the dollars definitely make sense. And so that was really all she wrote once we saw the numbers. And we opened that office in July of last year in Toledo. And the credentialing has been a challenge, to say the least. So we literally just got our Medicaid license in, the beginning of March. So we just got our Medicaid number in March, and because we were going through the credentialing process, they had to come out and do a site visit. We were randomly selected for them to come and do a site visit.
Of course.
I love the air quote.
Yeah. So we had to have them come out and do the site visit, and then we had some things that we needed. The state of Ohio required us to correct, so we had to correct those things, and then wait for them we had to give them a plan of correction, and then it was just a nightmare. But it was a learning process. So we've gotten through that process, and here we are. We've had an opportunity to meet with individuals in the low-income housing space in Ohio, to be in the Toledo area, to be able to tell them about the services that we provide. And we're putting together some workshops right now to be able to go and present to the individuals in that community that are served by that community. And then we've also gone to some women's shelters there. So we're it's not just about finances, although nobody goes into business without wanting to make money, but it's also, we really, really have an opportunity to be hands-on and be in the community and add some value there. So that's kind of how Pyramid got started. Did I leave out anything, partner?
Well, yeah, I'm unsure. What does Pyramid do?
Oh,
So we're in the mental and behavioral health space.
There you go. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I guess
And
that is important, Crystal.
And that's great that the community gets to see women of color. That's always a good thing. There's one question I've asked all month long, because we know entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Right. What happens? What do you do when you want to quit?
Well, that just happened recently.
Right.
And so, do you want to take that, partner? Or you want me to take it first? Because I'm sure our answers might be, well, they might be the same, but they might.
You can go ahead and take it.
So when I've had that, and it's probably happened twice in 6 years, I remember my partner, to be honest. And look, here I go, about to get emotional. We have poured so much into this business, namely Kapstone, well, Pyramid too, but Pyramid is newer. Blood, sweat, tears, like there's things that nobody knows that we have gone through but Kerry and myself and God. And, hair falling out, sleepless nights in the doctor's office, trying to understand why I'm having all of this stress and high blood pressure and everything else. So when I think about what I turn back, and I would never do that to my partner. Like I would never do anything to hurt her, to hurt us. And we've invested too much time, effort, energy, money to look back. And so when I have those moments, I'm like, I have to remember, where we were when we first started, and broke as a joke, but, still rocked it out. I'm cooking breakfast for us every day, lunch for us every day, dinner for us every day. And I think back on those times and where we started and where we are. And I'm like, I could never let my partner down. So.
You ain't going nowhere.
I ain't going nowhere.
So, but you're right. You said it in a nutshell. Life is what it is, and that's what everybody's expectation. They have to understand what life is. I tell Tammy all the time, I think that I can be so flexible about certain things. I'm not flexible about everything, but everything is a team effort for me, because I grew up a twin. So it's always been about the team. And just like she said, like, I'm not gonna ever leave her. You know, we made all this together. And she, you know, I definitely couldn't have done it without her, and she couldn't have done it without me.
Right.
And that's why it's really nice to come together, to have another person who has different strengths, different goals, because, you know, she makes me think about things that I never thought about before, you know, and, you know, people have to realize that life is about failing and life is about winning, and everything is just cyclical, just like the employment market, just like, you know, it's very easy for us to get a $50,000 check, you know, but in a dry spell, maybe we go a couple months without getting one. So it's just about how you handle disappointment, how you handle when it's good is good and when it's bad is bad. But, you know, I think, like Tammy said, Tammy has not been employable for a long time. At first I thought I still was. But then I think about, you know, at the end of the day, that's who I'm accountable to, right? I mean, I'm accountable to my family, but I'm accountable to her. You know, we put this together. And so, you know, unless we put some kind of exit plan together, we know it's do or die together.
I love
Right.
that.
So, yep, let's dive a little deeper in that, right? So, Tammy, I am sure Kerry was not the only friend you had in this world when you decided to go into business for yourself, right? Why Kerry?
Because I knew Kerry's background. I knew her background in human resources, and, you know, 100% transparency. I have such a strong personality. If I allow you in my circle and we're friends, that's amazing to begin with, because I'm not everybody's cup of tea. You know, some people like coffee. And so Kerry and I got along so well. Like I said, her strengths, my strengths, we complemented each other, and we were always able to talk about anything and everything. And she didn't always agree with me. I didn't always agree with her, even about personal, you know, relationship stuff. I can remember, you know, I was going through a challenging divorce at the time, and I come to Kerry and I'm trying, you know, I'm talking to her, and and she's like, okay, so what about you? You know, and I was like, well, wait a minute. So somebody that, you know, would still challenge you and ask tough questions, but it was important for me to be in business with someone that I trusted and that I could get along with. You know, I think that if Kerry had a type A personality like mine, we constantly be locking horns and clashing. It just would not work. Luckily, she doesn't, you know, and there's sometimes, you know, I have to put what would Kerry do? I tell her this all the time. You know, how people have their what would Jesus do bracelets. I'd be in a situation like, what would Kerry do? And then I have to go in and think like, oh, okay, you know, I need to put a little more butter on this conversation right here. I need to ask.
And I do the same thing. You know, I think for me, it was that I was like, you know, I like the fact that she's driven, you know, and I'm like, she driving. I kind of want to get in the car and see how fast it goes too, you know, and so that made me more apt to say, you know, yeah, I'll give it a try. And, you know, I have to put on my what would Tammy do bracelet sometimes too. Like, okay, you know, we might be sitting somewhere and she might tap my leg like they full of it, you know, in the conversation or whatever. But we vibe off of each other. So that's the cool part.
So you talked about, right, like you described it as being in a marriage, right? Mm-hmm. And in marriages, when we are doing it well, there are checkpoints along the way, because the person you were 6 years ago certainly is not the person. So are you intentional that way in your relationship to keep checking in about who the person you have become and how it aligns to where the two of you are going? Are those scheduled, if you will? Much like we need to tune up our relationships and vehicles to keep
Absolutely. Communication is a wonderful thing. And, you know, it's so funny because, you know, Tammy really, both of us are each other's therapists too. I mean, the first 15 minutes we get into work every day, the first thing we do is say, where's our coffee? Let's sit down. I might tell her, I didn't have any sleep that night. She might tell me that, whatever's going on with her, we have our coffee, we exhale, we got a couple buttons that have some stuff on it that we probably wouldn't want the public to hear. Sometimes you just got to hit that
We are
button.
grown on this podcast.
But that's the good times and the bad times. So, but what we do is we allow each other to exhale in the morning. So we keep a constant pulse on each other, as far as it's checking in time. Okay, how was your day yesterday? What'd you do yesterday evening or whatever the case, and it's really, really nice to be transparent with somebody who, has your back and your best interest, but also, you can confide in too.
I
And
love it.
I just want to piggyback on that really quickly. So to touch base, back in the friendship space. So Kerry and I are such good friends that, we've seen each other through some very challenging times, and probably more me than her. And there's been times where she had to pick me off the floor, not literally, but, and I bring that up to say that I couldn't give 100% to the business because of what was going on in my personal life, and going through a challenging time where I could not focus. I'd be in the office, I'd be there bright and early because I ain't gonna let my partner beat me in there, so I'm there, but I literally can't pull it together. Mm-hmm. And so it's at that moment, she jumps in, she's doing my work and her work, and trying to also be my sister and be my friend. Be my sister, be my friend, but my business partner, like, okay, love on me, hug on me. All right, sis, we're gonna get through this. I love you. All right, now we need to get this work done, and pull me together.
Right, look, them tears and hugs turn into attitude.
Right.
Okay, you
like
with me
today?
Tears
so we can get this work done. We got to go get this money, So that's the beauty of having her as a sister and as a friend, and not just a business partner. And she can get me on track. And we both. There are times where she's not 100%, and she might have things going on in her life that's got her focus scattered, and I got to jump in and, do whatever I have to do to help her. So there are times when we don't have the balance and we have to compensate for the other person, but we give each other grace in those moments. It happens. She gives me grace and I give her grace, and we never discuss it again. Like, it's not like, oh, you remember when, and I had to. That's never, in 6 years, never has that occurred. Not one time ever. And I doubt that it ever would, So we've learned, and okay, Tammy having a moment right now, sometimes she'll be like, I ain't even coming to your office, so you settle down.
But there's such a beauty in that, because you don't get that in corporate America. You can't, there's no one you can turn to in corporate America, because they're going to use that thing against you.
Right. Correct.
As opposed to lifting you up, because they're like, oh, I see a chink in their armor. So that I can get their space. So that's a beautiful thing that that works that way.
Tanya Maddox on Facebook said, sisters holding each other accountable in a loving way. Right? Yes. Like the accountability has to happen. And I can do it in a loving way where the relationship stays intact and the business gets done. I absolutely love that, right? Like, we can handle each other in a way that works and still allows us to achieve our goals. And again, oftentimes it's not the story that's told about us, right?
Right. Correct.
Friends can't be in business with each other, Black women specifically, because emotions will run high and we don't have the capacity to hold that tension to be able to get through it and be stronger for it. And I love how the two of you stand 10 toes down on your relationship to be able to, one, form a business, be successful in it, and still have the same goals to achieve and hold on to each other in a really real way. It resonates with me so very much, because every time like at the top of the show, she'll thank me for it. I couldn't imagine not saying yes. It was like, I need to know. It was none of that, right? Like, where we go? Okay. Like you said, Kerry, I want to know where this is going. I'm about to hop in the car, figure this thing out, whatever. I didn't need any of that.
Yeah.
And people can't get a yes from me like that, right? Like there's,
Mm.
right. And so the idea that you two have turned this into a profitable way of sustaining your relationship with each other and then still being able to, again, be profitable in the business sector is just absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
It's been a fun ride. I will say that's been a fun ride. It's been an educational ride. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we didn't start this till we were in our 40s, but I mean, I think I've learned more in the last 6 to 7 years than I've learned in going to school and in working in corporate America for 20 years. So, yeah, thank you, Tammy.
And it's for us, it's not a concentrated effort to try to be X, Y, and Z in business or being friends. Like it's literally effortless. This is who we are all day, every day with each other. And we laugh together, we cry together, we build together, we inspire each other, we encourage each other. At one point in time, we used to keep each other inspired. We put on Dr. Eric Thomas.
Mm.
Good morning, this is E.T. And so Kerry and I, we have our music on. That's how we started our day. We get hyped up, we get motivated. We about to go in here and rock it out. Here come a million right now, let's go. So we hype each other up. And then we go and, start our day. And then we start doing that with our staff. And then if it wasn't Eric Thomas, we were listening to, I'm about to put it all out there, Kerry. We'd be listening to DJ Assault. Straight up Detroit shit. So that's the name.
I love it.
The playlist we had. And so we knew, and to this day, if I put that on, I put on DJ Assault. Me and Kerry, we go back to our days when we first started in a windowless office in the Renaissance Center.
And you know what? Let me say to Tammy, you know what's funny, ladies, is that our first office was probably about 350 square feet. I don't know, it was very small, but it was in the Renaissance Center. It was so small, but we have
no windows.
How big is our office now?
It's about 2,000 square feet.
So she has her own office. I have my own office. We have another office. We have this main area. And I find myself going back in her office like to work. We're not even working on the same thing. But I'm like, put your music on, Tammy. Let's get down to it. And I really just think, the other thing is that you do have to, we got lucky with each other, but you do have to have somebody who has a similar work ethic that you do. You know what I mean? We work differently. Sure. We know different things. We have different strengths, but our work ethic, she actually, there's a lot of times Tammy works harder than me. But
you do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff.
Huh?
You do a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
Oh, yeah. But I don't and I think when you work with somebody who's like, 99% of the time on it, you don't want to disappoint them, and you want to stay on the same flow as them. You want to be productive like they are, because nobody wants to carry somebody, right?
Right.
So you both kind of constantly pushing each other. You should be like, let's get this money, and we just go. So it really is pretty cool. Like, I enjoy going into my job. That's me.
I love it. So how do you practice? One of the things we always want to make sure that we get into the room so that women listening know the importance and the value. How do you practice self-care?
Ooh.
That's always the answer. Like, that's always the response.
Well, I'm gonna jump into that one, and then I'm gonna let Kerry meditate on that one a minute, because I know our answers are gonna be vastly different in this space. So self-care for me, I have no issue practicing self-care because my children are grown. So I live alone. And every chance I get, I practice self-care. So I'm taking time out to go get my nails done, my hair done, and I travel a lot. And so for me, that's how I'm able to take the stress level down, right? And so I recently, in January, had a scare with high blood pressure, which I'm still dealing with. I'd never had high blood. I've never been on anybody's pill for anything ever in my life. And so I hit 50 and now I have high blood pressure. And I eat very well. I eat healthy and I exercise. So I'm like, what is this? And it was stress. And stress from, dealing with running from Ohio to Detroit, dealing with the staffing business, the mental behavioral health space, like just so much going on at one time. And I'm just like, woosah. And how I know, I told Kerry this the other day, I said, at least once a month, I have to get out of here and go somewhere. Even if it's a, 4-day weekend. When I went to South Africa, there were 4 or 5 days while I was there. I was gone for 10 days where I did not have to take blood pressure meds because my blood pressure was below level. Like I had low blood pressure. And so I didn't take my pills. The day before I was ready to come back, blood pressure shot up. I took my blood pressure cup with me. Blood pressure shot up. And I knew in that moment, the thought of me coming back and having to get right back into the grind, the hustle and bustle, blood pressure shot up again. And so I was like, yeah, you have to at least once a month go somewhere, take Tammy time and just take it down. Like I'm always going up to a spa or doing those kind of self-care things, but to just no computer, no phone, just disconnect and for at least 3-4 days. Partner.
So Kerry.
See my nails now? I'm doing better. It's funny because, like I said, a friend of mine that I was talking to, that he asked me, he said, what pleases you? And I'm like, well, pleasing other people. He's like, oh, no. But I mean, my self-care probably, I'm doing better. I'm working on it. I don't know what that is. I'm working on spending more time with Kerry. Like I like to go, sometimes I go out of town with my girlfriends and I like to go Chicago, step in. I love to spend time with my husband and my daughter. But I think that what I've realized I need to work on more is more, time with myself. And I don't do a lot of that. So
I'll text her sometimes. I'm like, what did you do for yourself this weekend?
Yeah. But yeah.
Crickets.
Yeah.
Right. And she's like, well, I did. I'm like, but what did you do for yourself?
For you.
You have to have some time for Kerry.
Yeah. I'm working on that, ladies. That has been something that I that I'm not strong in.
Right. And so
you're getting better.
We know you heard, right? Like you can't pour from an empty cup. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if you give the world a chance, they'll do your cup like this, right?
Yes,
Like every drop out of it, right?
Every drop.
Make sure there was no, absolutely, even condensation left, right? Like, and so the way that you value pleasing people, you get better tenfold when you learn to please yourself.
Absolutely.
Right. So pencil it in like you do everything else that matters.
Yeah.
Because the world gets better when Kerry is better. And it's
absolutely.
And that does not happen through the joy of your children, through the joy of your husband, through the joys of your girlfriend, through the joys of Tammy, and a growing bank account.
That's right.
Right? When Kerry knows.
Exactly. You are right. Yes. Yes.
Very true. You are getting better though, partner.
Oh yeah, because I'm going out of town now. I'm going out of town first weekend in May.
It is one of those things that you have to intentionally keep top of mind and continue to practice, because it is a very hard thing to do. As we talk all the time, we've been socialized, especially as Black women. We're giving, we're taking care of everybody else, most times to the detriment of ourselves. So you definitely have to make sure that you're taking.
And I when I look back, my mother was like that. She hit it a lot better than me, but I can tell, now that I'm in some of that same space, I think that, we're in a very similar space, and I'm trying to, navigate through that, because really it's like second nature. Oh, I just want to take care of people, like,
Correct.
But yeah, I never thought, oh yeah, Kerry, yep, you're somebody.
Correct, right? Yeah, right. Remembering to give ourselves permission to take the foot off the gas, to pull the car over, put it in park, get out, turn the engine off, right? Like all of those things. I'm just going to take my foot off the gas. You're still going down the road of something that's not about you. Pull that joker over and put it in park and turn the engine off.
Yeah.
Right. Everything off.
Pay attention, right, to you and the things that. So you talked earlier about being very self-reflective. All right. So we invite you to do more of that. Amazing Black women pouring back into themselves so they can continue to pour into others. I told you that this was going to be the fastest hour of your day. Could not imagine wrapping up Black women. Oh, it is, right? Like I'm going to put it all together.
Right.
Black women creating history, creating tables so that they don't have to be invited, that they're the ones doing the inviting. I love the idea to wrap this month up with two friends who have decided to go into business for each other, because I every Sunday and every day during the week get to touch base with my best friend and get to do this in this space. So to be able to be in this space with the two of you has done my heart a world of good. So tell the folks a little bit more about how they can find you to learn more about what your offering is, especially in the behavioral mental health space, which, like Crystal said, to have two Black women creating is phenomenal.
Kerry, you want to jump in, or you want? We do this all the time. Kerry, you want to go? You want me to go? Individuals that are looking for assistance in the staffing space, whether it's a potential client or a potential candidate, can find us at kapstones.com. So it's Kapstone Employment Services, Kapstone with a K, KAPSTONEES.com. And individuals looking for support in the behavioral mental health space in the Toledo, Ohio area can reach out to us at pyramidhealthgroup.net.
I love it.
Love it, love it. Michele, is it my turn?
It is your turn, my friend.
I echo Michele with, it's interesting because I asked Tammy if they would consider being on the show, and she couldn't do any other day but this day. So it just, the universe and God conspires to bring everything in line the way it was supposed to be. So it is pretty incredible to have two amazing Black women who were friends that went into business and are owning their seats at the table. I absolutely love it. And I do want to take this time to celebrate both of you. But we cannot end Women's History Month after talking with women who are owning their seats at the table without hearing from my BFF. So you always hear me say how dope and amazing she is. You've heard her from week to week curate these conversations like no other. And I am clear that Amazing Women Speak is as powerful as it is because of her. So Michele, go ahead and grab a tissue. Come on in here and tell us about you, what you do in your day job, in your business, and what drives you to provide space, mentorship, and inspiration, and to make sure that others who look like you get to have their seat at the table.
Oh, that's so unfair. That's so unfair. So yeah, I God will put you in the space that you are supposed to be in, even when you do not see it coming. I left the state of Michigan after 24 years, where I knew I was going to retire. I did not hate my job. And God pulled me in another direction. I'm now the director of diversity, equity, and inclusion with a research company called Evident Change, which is located in both Wisconsin and California. And for every way that I tried to feed a no to stay in the comfort of the job that I was in, God kept opening a door. To finally, the CEO called me and said, after 6 months, called me and said, How do I get to yes? Like, I don't want to have another conversation. Tell me what it is you need to get to yes. And in that moment, I realized that I was not serving myself and therefore not serving God at the greatest by holding myself back and recognizing. And so loving my job, I get up and I do it every day with much joy. And so I ended up, I have a chronic health condition, and moving my body is really important for me in order to be able to have a decent quality of life. And then COVID happened. And so I've been dabbling in working out for like the last 7 or 8 years. And COVID happened, couldn't get to the gym. And so I decided that I was just going to start. I wonder if I could work out for 30 days straight. My body has never given me permission to do that. And part of my accountability was sharing that on Facebook, right? Like that was just a part of my accountability, and a commitment to the lupus community, demonstrating that despite the challenges of hurting to move, that there were still ways that we could find to move. And so 30 days turned into 60, 60 days turned into 90, till I went to 208 days. And so in this training, people started inboxing me wanting to get involved. And I said, I'm not a certified trainer, right? Like, and I respect the craft enough. Like, I could tell you a workout, but couldn't tell you about mechanics, but I respected the craft enough that during COVID, I got certified. And I was clear, like, I don't want a business. And people kept saying, well, how do we find you? Who are you? I was like, I'm Michele. Like, I have no business, like, I'm not doing that. I have a full-time job that I love. God will make space for your gifts. And slowly but surely, and it kept saying, like, well, what are you going to call it? I'm not calling it anything. We're not doing logos. We're not doing t-shirts. We're not doing websites. None of that. I love my job. God will make space where your gifts lie. And so I said, if I had to name it, one of the things I kept saying to the women as I was training them online, I said, it's important that you learn to own your agency. That's what this conversation is about. We have been pushed in a direction that doesn't align with who we are for so long. What would it be like to own your agency and take a complete 180-degree turn and give the yes first to yourself? What would that be like? So if it's going to be called anything, it's going to be called Agency Fitness, because I want to embrace who you are through your spirituality, through your fitness, being able to be courageous and be bold in who you are. What is it like to own who you are without apology? If I'm going to do any of that, this is what it's going to be. But I'm not doing a website. Like, that's how you I'm not doing it. I'm absolutely. God will put you in the space. And so when COVID ended up allowing us to be in community with each other, I started telling people to come over on Saturday. My husband converted my garage into a gym. Come over on Saturday and work out with me. I wasn't charging people what the industry bared, because I was like, I'm not doing a business. And I also struggle, and I still struggle, and people in the industry will tell me I'm doing a disservice to the fitness world by not charging what the work demands. I couldn't imagine watching my sisters who are struggling to take care of their children, to put food on their table, paying me $200 an hour for fit. I couldn't do it. God will provide for me all of the gaps. I could not do it. I still cannot do it. Even though I know the price is the price, right? Like, I'm clear of that. The price is the price. But my price has to be something that I can still allow women who've got enough on their plate.
Right.
To come in and for 1 hour, hour and a half, focus on pouring back into themselves through fitness and through honoring who they are as Black women. I couldn't do it. So here I sit 3 years later. Fitness.
It's a thing.
I kept saying it's a thing. I'm like,
It's a thing.
Agency
I
Fitness.
love it.
3 years later, I have clients both in person and online that I just get the gift of watching them own their agency in a way that they never thought that they had permission to.
Wow.
And that's the gift, and that's the thing that I can't put the price on.
Right.
Right? So you women that do not know me, I'm not a business, right? Like, I'm a boutique. I don't need to, right? Like, seriously, I'm a boutique about this, because being able to pay attention to you in that moment, to call your name on the screen, I can't slide. I can't slide. And so that's not my gift in that way. I can't hold more than 15 women on a screen, because I need for you to know that I see you. If nobody else during that day does, I see you. And every Monday we leave class and I say to them, our mantra is, because we've been silenced for so long, give them all they can handle and let them choke on the rest.
I love
Tammy
it.
putting that one on her wall because Tammy's putting that on her wall because that resonates.
For sure.
That's my story. I'm blessed beyond to be able to walk in this body that after 3 surgeries, they said that I would never be able to do the things that I do. They don't know my God. I'm grateful to have a platform that I get to share and have these conversations, get to learn and grow with amazing Black women that we do nothing but uplift and empower each other. I didn't know how I was going to put one more thing on my plate. But when Crystal calls, you always, always, always say yes. She is so amazing and dope. And if she can create space, how do you say no to that? How do you say no?
Wow. 2 best friends talking with 2 best friends.
I know I said we couldn't have ended this month any better. Like it was not planned, but it was as it was supposed to be. So I am grateful. I celebrate each and every one of you. You all are amazing, awesome. You have your seat at the table, but more importantly, you make space so that others get to have that seat at the table too. And I so appreciate that and celebrate that in you. I am Crystal Gunn. I am a Black woman and I own my amazing.
Yes, you do. Absolutely, yes, you do. Always, I end this show by thanking you for being obedient to the call that God has put on your life to create space where we could come together and celebrate one another. You didn't have all of the answers, but you were obedient to the call and you figured it out enough that God continues to make a way to bring amazing women to this platform. Thank you, my friend. This world gets better. Women get better that have not yet met you in person because you created a platform that said, let's unpack the bullshit that says Black women can be amazing. Thank you for doing exactly what you do. I get better because of it. My name is Michele Harper. I am a Black woman, and without apology, I own my amazing. Tammy.
Wow. Thank you both so much for having Kerry and I on tonight. You know, Crystal and I have been Facebook friends for quite a long time. And I think that, you know, we've quietly watched each other over the course of the years. And I think that there's, you know, a mutual admiration and respect, you know, one Black woman to another. And I see you out here doing your thing and I respect and applaud you. Michele, such a pleasure to meet you and to hear your story. And I feel your energy and it's magnetic. And I love that. Thank you both for having us on tonight. It's been an incredible 1 hour, the fastest 1 hour of our lives. And I hope that, you know, our story has really resonated with women out here that are considering going into business and going into business with a friend. You know, it is possible. There is success there. I'll end by saying my name is Tammy Turner. I am a Black woman, and I also unapologetically own my amazing.
Tammy, what I love about you, the two of you, is that in every part of this conversation, it's never been I. Spoken in the we, like it rolls so naturally. That did not go unnoticed on me, right? Thank you for having us. We ... That is so powerful that you are so in lockstep with one another.
We are.
I absolutely love that. Kerry.
Thank you.
Thank you. I feel like I've just picked up really 2 good friends tonight. But Crystal, I appreciate you, and you, Michele. You both are very motivational, and it was really nice for me because really in doing this was Kerry time. You know what I mean? Like this was that hour that I've taken for myself today, you know, to exhale, to, you know, I don't mind sharing my story. You know I'm not perfect. I have growth. I need to grow, but I know that I can, you know, inspire other people with, you know, telling my story as well. And so I appreciate you guys giving Tammy and I that space to self-reflect, but to also to share and grow and, you know, have other folks that look like us, you know, and don't look like us, right? We can all learn something. So thank you so much, both of you, for that. And my partner Tammy knows that I love her. And my name is Kerry Buffington. I am a Black woman, and I am unapologetically
I love it. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. Latasha said, you ladies are phenomenal. I truly enjoyed this. I echo that sentiment. This has been great. Be sure to mark your calendars for next Sunday as we talk about sex, intimacy, and sexual health. This is going.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to come back.
We have a yoni STEAM specialist and an intimacy coach that will be on the show. Awesome. So it's going to be really, really good.
I like it.
Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate every single one.
Happy Sunday, ladies. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a good night, everybody.